Boardroom at Veltric Dynamics felt like a tomb that morning. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked the San Jose skyline, but all eyes were glued to the massive screen at the front, where my life's work was about to be destroyed. Ashley Morgan stood there, in her crisp navy blazer, blonde hair perfectly styled, gesturing confidently at the animated display of robotic arms and conveyor belts. My 18 months of sleepless nights, my breakthrough algorithm, my predictive maintenance system, all of it dancing across that screen while she took credit for every line of code. I'm Richard Stone, by the way. 49 years old, been doing this AI work for 2 decades. Divorced dad with 2 kids who count on me. Mason's a college senior at UC Davis. Taylor's finishing up high school. And right then, sitting in the back row watching this woman destroy everything I'd built, I knew exactly what was about to happen next. My phone buzzed against my leg. Text from an unknown number. "This really your work?" "We need to talk." The name showed Sophia Bennett, our CTO. My heart skipped, but not from fear. Someone finally saw through Ashley's act. I leaned back in my chair and checked the clock on the wall. 12 minutes until the live demo. 12 minutes before Ashley's house of cards came tumbling down. See, there was something she didn't know about the system she was presenting, something I'd tried to warn her about for months, but Ashley was too busy rehearsing her speeches to listen to the guy who actually built the thing. Let me back up. 18 months ago, I was just another senior architect grinding away in the Veltric Tech Lab. The place hummed with servers and cooling fans 24/7. I'd sit there surrounded by monitors showing production data from our biggest clients: Ford, GM, Boeing, charts and graphs and endless streams of failure reports. Same story every time. Their automated systems worked fine until something went wrong. Then everything stopped. Human managers had to step in, figure out what broke, manually restart everything. Cost these companies millions in downtime. That's when it hit me. What if the AI could see problems coming? Not just follow the rules we programmed, but actually learn to spot trouble before it happened. A system that could fix itself, reroute around problems, keep the production lines running no matter what. I spent 3 weeks sketching out the concept, then sent it to Lucas Reed, our CEO, and Sophia Bennett. Within 24 hours, they called me into the executive conference room. "This could revolutionize industrial automation," Lucas said, tapping his pen on my proposal. "If you can deliver a working prototype in 18 months, we'll give you whatever you need." Whatever I needed turned out to be 4 junior engineers and Ryan Walsh, a kid fresh out of Stanford with more enthusiasm than sense. But I didn't care. After 20 years at this company, I finally had my shot. That's when Ashley showed up, transferred from McKinsey with an MBA and a mandate to bring fresh thinking to engineering operations. She appeared at my desk one Tuesday morning with that consultant smile. "I'd love to help translate your technical vision into business impact," she said. "We'll make a great team." I was so focused on the code, I barely noticed her. Big mistake. Within a week, she was sitting in every project meeting. Within a month, she was speaking for the team. By month 3, I started getting emails with subject lines like, "Ashley Morgan leads Breakthrough AI Initiative." My name got buried in the CC line like I was some junior developer. The breaking point came 6 months in. We'd just cracked the hardest problem, getting the system to apply lessons from one factory to completely different operations. Transfer learning, they call it. Watching the AI adapt between a car plant and a pharmaceutical facility was like watching magic. I scheduled a demo for Lucas and Sophia the next morning. Got there early, laptop ready. Ashley was already in the conference room, iPad open, like she owned the place. "Hope you don't mind," she said. Just wanted to stay current on our project." "Our project?" That phrase hit me like a punch. I started the presentation, but before I could explain the breakthrough, Ashley jumped in. "We've developed a way for the AI to learn across different industrial environments," she said, gesturing at my slides. "This cross-platform adaptation will be huge for scalability." There it was again. That afternoon, a company-wide email hit my inbox. Ashley Morgan spearheads revolutionary AI development. There was a photo of her in the lab, leaning over a workstation I'd configured. My monitors, my code visible in the background. My name wasn't mentioned anywhere. That night I started copying everything. Every commit log, every email, every design document. Saved it all to a secure drive. I'd been naive, thinking talent and hard work mattered. But in corporate America, perception trumps reality. And right then, Ashley was winning the perception game. Over the next year, I watched myself disappear from my own project. Meeting invitations stopped coming. Strategy sessions got marked leadership only. My name got moved from lead developer to technical consultant in the project docs. Ashley brought in her own team, young MBAs who spoke her language of synergy and paradigm shifts, but couldn't debug a Hello World program. The worst part wasn't the credit theft. It was watching my creation get butchered by people who didn't understand it. Ashley's team kept pushing for flashier demos instead of thorough testing. They wanted impressive graphics over solid algorithms. Every week, I'd submit bug reports and stress test results that got filed under nice to have improvements. My home life started suffering too. Mason called from college one evening, worried about tuition for his senior year. "Dad, you sound stressed. Everything okay at work?" I couldn't tell my 21-year-old son that his old man was getting pushed out by someone half his age with an MBA and no real skills. Instead, I said everything was fine and transferred another $1,000 to his account, money I couldn't really afford to lose. Taylor noticed too. At 17, she was sharper than both her brother and me combined. "You're working late every night, but you seem miserable," she said over dinner one weekend. "What's going on? How do you explain corporate politics to a teenager? How do you tell your daughter that sometimes, no matter how hard you work or how good you are at your job, someone can just walk in and take everything you've built?" 3 months ago, the final insult arrived. I was working late in my apartment, debugging some edge cases in the failure prediction algorithm, when I stumbled across something that made my blood run cold. Ashley had filed a patent application for predictive industrial automation systems, listed herself as the primary inventor. Me? I was listed as a contributing engineer. After 18 months of 70-hour weeks, I sat there staring at that patent filing, feeling something shift inside me. The hurt burned away, replaced by something colder, sharper. I wasn't going to fight this through HR or legal channels. Ashley wanted to build her career on my work? Fine. But she was going to do it without understanding what she'd stolen. See, there was a flaw in the system. A big one. When raw materials dropped below 40% of normal levels, which happened more often than you'd think in real manufacturing, the algorithm tried to recalculate too many variables at once. Instead of adapting, it locked up. I'd documented this months ago, recommended stress testing, suggested fixes. Ashley brushed it off. Edge cases, she called them. We'll address those in version 2. But today wasn't version 2. Today was the live demo for our biggest potential client, Ford's new electric vehicle plant. $50 million contract, national press coverage, Ashley's moment to shine. The irony wasn't lost on me. Ford had specifically asked for stress testing scenarios because their supply chains were still recovering from pandemic disruptions. Material shortages were their biggest fear. And here was Ashley, about to demonstrate a system that would crash the moment it encountered exactly that problem. I'd spent the last week watching her prep, ignoring every testing protocol I'd suggested. She was too busy memorizing her talking points about revolutionary efficiency gains to worry about silly things like system stability. Her team had built a beautiful presentation full of glossy animations and impressive projections, but they'd skipped the boring part where you actually make sure the software works under pressure. The night before the demo, I got a call from Ryan Walsh, the Stanford kid who'd been on my original team. He'd been reassigned to legacy system maintenance, corporate speak for being sidelined. "Richard, I'm worried about tomorrow," he said. "I ran some tests on the demo scenarios, and there's a problem. If they simulate any supply disruption above 35%, the whole system freezes." "Did you tell Ashley?" I tried. She said the demo scenarios were locked, and they didn't have time for hypothetical concerns. But Richard, Ford specifically mentioned supply chain resilience as their top priority. I thanked Ryan and hung up. Part of me wanted to march into Ashley's office and warn her one more time. But why? She'd made it clear that my input wasn't welcome. If she wanted to own my project, she could own the failures too. That night, I opened my laptop and did something I'd been avoiding for months. I started building my own version of the system from scratch. Not using any Veltric resources, not touching any code that could be claimed as company property. Just me, my 20 years of experience, and the knowledge of exactly what needed to be fixed. I called it Stone Systems Predictive Analytics. Clean code, robust architecture, and most importantly, proper handling of edge cases that Ashley's team thought were too boring to address. Back in the boardroom, Ashley clicked to her final slide. "Projected efficiency improvements of 15–20% in year 1, she announced. "Cost savings of $12 million annually for a facility this size." The Ford executives nodded. Phones came out to snap photos. Lucas Reed leaned forward with interest, while Sophia Bennett took notes. Ashley basked in the attention while I checked the clock again. 2 minutes until the live demonstration. My phone buzzed. Another text from Sophia. "Something feels off about this whole presentation. Too polished, not enough technical depth." I typed back, "Wait 2 minutes. You'll see everything you need to know." Ashley turned to the massive screen behind her. "Now, let me show you our system in action," she said, her voice ringing with confidence. "We've prepared a comprehensive simulation that demonstrates how our AI handles real-world manufacturing challenges." The demo interface loaded, showing a detailed 3D model of an automotive assembly line. Robotic arms moved in perfect coordination, conveyor belts adjusted speeds automatically, and streams of data flowed across side panels showing efficiency metrics in real time. For the first 5 minutes, it looked absolutely flawless. The demo started smoothly. Ashley's voice rang with confidence as the simulation showed robotic arms moving in perfect coordination, conveyor belts adjusting speeds, the AI seamlessly managing a complex automotive assembly line. The Ford executives leaned forward, clearly impressed by the slick presentation. "As you can see," Ashley said, gesturing to the flowing data streams, "our predictive maintenance system anticipates bottlenecks before they occur, automatically rerouting resources to maintain optimal efficiency. Everything looked perfect. Too perfect. I knew what was coming." Then the first red warning appeared in the corner of the screen. A small alert about supply chain disruption. Ashley didn't notice. She was too busy explaining efficiency metrics to the audience. But I saw it. The system was entering the exact scenario I'd warned about for months. 30 seconds later, a second warning joined the first, then a third. The Ford VP of Manufacturing, A guy named Patterson, who'd been in the industry longer than me, leaned forward and pointed at the screen. "What are those alerts? Is that part of the simulation?" Ashley glanced back, her confident smile wavering for just a second. "Just minor calibration notices. The system is designed to—" That's when everything went to hell. The entire interface froze. Every animation stopped mid-motion. The robotic arms locked in place, conveyor belts halted, and a cascade of red error messages exploded across the screen like digital fireworks. The algorithm had spiraled into the exact failure mode I'd documented months ago, trying to recalculate too many variables at once when materials dropped below critical levels. Alarms started blaring from the speakers, filling the boardroom with urgent beeping that echoed off the wood-paneled walls. "This is just a temporary glitch," Ashley stammered, frantically clicking buttons on her control tablet. Nothing responded. The demo had crashed completely, leaving a room full of executives staring at a frozen screen covered in error codes that might as well have been written in ancient hieroglyphics. Patterson shook his head and closed his notebook. "This is exactly the kind of failure we can't afford in our production environment." The silence was deafening. You could hear the air conditioning humming, someone's phone buzzing on the table, the distant sound of traffic from the street below. Ashley kept clicking desperately, sweat visible on her forehead despite the cool boardroom temperature. Lucas Reed's chair scraped against the floor as he stood up, his voice sharp as a blade cutting through the awkward quiet. "Call Richard. Now." Every eye in the room turned to look at me in the back row. Ashley's face went completely white. For the first time in months, she looked directly at me, and I could see the panic in her eyes. "Richard," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. "Can you fix this? Please?" I stood up slowly, gathering my laptop bag with deliberate calm. The weight of 24 executive stares followed my movement, but I felt completely composed. This was the moment I'd been waiting for, the inevitable collision between presentation and reality. "You're the project lead," I said quietly, my voice carrying to every corner of the boardroom despite its softness. "I'm sure your team can handle it." Patterson spoke up from the Ford delegation. "Wait, you're the original developer? Why aren't you running this demonstration?" I looked at Ashley, then back at Patterson. "That's a question you'd have to ask Ms. Morgan. I'm just listed as a contributing engineer on this project now." The Ford executives exchanged glances. Lucas Reed's jaw tightened. Sophia Bennett was furiously typing notes on her tablet, probably documenting every word for the inevitable post-mortem. "Perhaps we should reschedule this demonstration," Patterson said, standing and straightening his tie. "When you have your technical issues resolved." Ashley found her voice, though it came out shaky and desperate. "We can fix this in an hour. Richard, please, just tell us what's wrong." I paused at the boardroom door, every face turned toward me. The system fails when raw material availability drops below 40%. I documented this issue 6 months ago and recommended stress testing protocols. The files are in the shared drive under Critical Issues, Requires Immediate Attention. With that, I walked out without looking back, leaving Ashley standing there as her carefully constructed career narrative imploded in real time. The elevator ride down felt like the longest and shortest 30 seconds of my life. Through the glass walls, I could see the chaos I'd left behind. Ashley gesturing frantically at her laptop, Lucas Reed on his phone, the Ford delegation filing out with disappointed expressions. I stepped into the bright San Jose afternoon, the California sun warming my face after the cold, fluorescent lighting of the boardroom. My phone was already buzzing with messages, but I didn't check them. For the first time in months, I felt completely free. 3 days later, the tech blogs were having a field day. Veltric's $50 million meltdown, was the headline on TechCrunch. AI demo disaster costs. Veltric major auto contract ran in the San Jose Business Journal. The Ford contract had evaporated overnight, taking Veltric's stock price down 12% with it. By the end of the week, Ashley's name had disappeared from the company directory. The official statement called it a strategic leadership transition, but the rumor mill didn't hold back. She'd been escorted out after an internal review revealed how little she actually understood about the system she'd claimed to lead. I didn't feel vindicated. I felt tired. 20 years at a company, and it all ended with a crashed demo and a corporate reshuffling that would be forgotten in 6 months. But something else was stirring underneath the exhaustion. A sense of possibility I hadn't felt in years. My severance package was decent. 3 months' salary, which would cover the mortgage and give me time to figure out what came next. Mason's tuition was secured through a student loan I'd co-signed. Taylor would be fine until I got back on my feet. The real question was, what did a 49-year-old engineer do when his corporate career imploded? In Silicon Valley, that was often the beginning of the best part of the story. That question got answered sooner than I expected. 2 weeks after leaving Veltric, I was sitting in my home office staring at my laptop screen when the phone rang. Unknown number, but I recognized the voice immediately. "Richard? This is Patterson from Ford. I hope you don't mind me calling directly." I definitely didn't mind. "What can I do for you?" "Look, we were impressed with your technical knowledge during that unfortunate demonstration. We're still looking for a predictive maintenance solution, and frankly, you seem to understand our needs better than anyone else in that room. Would you be interested in consulting for us?" 3 months later, Stone Systems was officially in business. I'd rented a small office in downtown San Jose, nothing fancy, but it was mine. The first Ford contract was worth $800,000 for a pilot implementation. Not bad for a 49-year-old legacy thinker. The work was exactly what I'd hoped for. No corporate politics, no MBA buzzword presentations, just solving real problems for real money. I rebuilt the predictive maintenance system from scratch, fixing every flaw that Ashley's team had ignored. When materials ran low, my version adapted gracefully. When equipment showed early warning signs, it rerouted production automatically. When unexpected disruptions hit, the system kept running. Ford's pilot program ran for 6 months without a single critical failure. Their downtime dropped 23%, maintenance costs fell 18%, and overall efficiency improved exactly as I'd projected, 15 to 20%, not the inflated numbers Ashley used to promise. The success at Ford opened other doors. GM called about their truck plants. Boeing wanted to discuss aerospace applications. Within a year, Stone Systems had 6 employees and contracts worth over $3.2 million. Mason graduated from UC Davis with a degree in mechanical engineering. No student loans, thanks to the consulting income. At his graduation party, he pulled me aside. "Dad, I'm proud of you for starting over. It couldn't have been easy at your age." At my age. The kid meant it as a compliment, but it hit me how much my life had changed. A year ago, I was worried about age discrimination and forced obsolescence. Now I was running my own company, and clients were seeking me out specifically for my experience. Taylor got into Stanford early, admission. Her first choice. When I told her the tuition wouldn't be a problem, she hugged me tighter than she had since she was little. "You seem happy again, Dad." Like, actually happy. She was right. I was. The real vindication came 18 months after the Veltric disaster. Ford invited me to present at their annual supplier conference, showcasing the success of the Stone Systems implementation. The conference was held in Detroit, 200 executives from across the automotive industry. Standing on that stage, presenting real results to real engineers who understood the technical challenges, felt completely different from corporate boardroom theater. These people cared about uptime, efficiency, and cost savings, not impressive graphics and buzzwords. Over the past 12 months, I told the audience, Ford's Dearborn plant has achieved 99.7% uptime with our predictive maintenance system. Unplanned maintenance events have dropped 67%. The system has prevented 14 potential production line failures, saving an estimated $8.3 million in lost productivity. The applause was genuine, not polite corporate clapping. After my presentation, I was swarmed by executives asking about implementations for their facilities. That's when I saw her. Ashley Morgan was standing near the back of the auditorium, holding a tablet with some small startup's logo on the case. She looked smaller than I remembered, less polished. The confident corporate sheen had been replaced by something more tentative. She approached me after most of the crowd had dispersed, walking slowly like she wasn't sure she was welcome. "Congratulations," she said quietly, avoiding eye contact at first. "I heard about your success. The Ford results are impressive." "Thank you." She shifted uncomfortably. "I wanted to say something about what happened at Veltrick. I know I made mistakes. I didn't understand what I was taking credit for." I studied her face. The arrogance was gone, replaced by something that looked like genuine regret. "The most important thing I learned wasn't about coding," I said finally. "It was understanding the difference between looking successful and being successful." She nodded, almost grateful for the honest response. "I understand that now. Too late, but I understand it." We stood there for a moment in awkward silence, the noise of the conference continuing around us. Then she extended her hand. "I hope you continue to do well, Richard. You deserved better than what happened." I shook her hand. "Good luck with whatever you're working on now." She walked away, disappearing back into the crowd of engineers and executives. I watched her go, feeling something I hadn't expected, not satisfaction or vindication, but a kind of peaceful closure. 6 months later, I was back in that same Detroit conference center, this time as a featured keynote speaker. Stone Systems had grown to 12 employees and $4.8 million in annual revenue. We'd expanded beyond automotive into aerospace, energy, and pharmaceutical manufacturing. The title of my talk was Experience-Driven Innovation: Why Engineering Wisdom Matters More Than Ever. It was a message that resonated with an industry full of professionals who'd spent decades building real expertise, only to watch it get devalued by corporate consultants with fancy degrees and shallow understanding. After the keynote, a young engineer approached me. Couldn't have been more than 25, probably fresh out of school. "Mr. Stone, I just wanted to thank you. I've been dealing with some similar issues at my company, people taking credit for my work. Your story gives me hope that technical competence eventually wins out." I thought about Richard from 2 years ago, sitting in that boardroom watching his life's work get destroyed by someone who didn't understand it. "It does win out," I told him. "But you have to be patient, document everything, and remember that your real value isn't what's written on org charts or patent filings. It's what you can build with your own hands and your own mind. Nobody can take that away from you." He thanked me again and walked away, probably to go solve problems and build things that would make the world a little bit better. Just like I was doing again, finally, at 51 years old. Stone Systems hit 6.2 million in revenue last year. My kids are thriving. And every morning I wake up knowing that everything I'm working on belongs to me. The successes, the failures, and most importantly, the satisfaction of building something real. That's worth more than any corporate title or patent filing ever could be. Sometimes the best revenge isn't getting even. It's becoming so successful that your enemies become irrelevant. In the end, they didn't steal my work. They just delayed my independence.